Today we go over the future of Star Wars after Star Wars Episode 9. This is Mike Zero here. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, as you all know, these past couple of days we've been learning a whole lot more about what's been happening behind the scenes over at Disney and Lucasfilm involving the standalone films and the current state of the Star Wars franchise as a whole, and also President of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, which we did in fact go over in my last video if you guys want to go ahead and check that out. Now, today I did in fact want to go over an update of what Disney may do in response to not only the Solo: A Star Wars Story box office results, but on taking risks and avoiding other risks when it comes to releasing movies into the theaters. And yes, this brings us to the subject of Disney's streaming service, which is actually aimed for the autumn of 2019. Now, you guys may have heard a couple of days ago about the playlist that the Obi-Wan Kenobi Star Wars movie may very well be heading on to the streaming service. Now, do take that portion with a grain of salt. We don't really know everything about that, but aside from that report and everything, all the updates that we have been hearing these past couple of days has all to do with the standalone films in general, and that is that Disney may very well only release the standalone films, the A Star Wars Story formats, on the streaming service. And I actually wanted to really talk about this because I really want to, kind of like tell you guys exactly how I feel about this, because if Disney were to make this move where they only have the standalone films releasing on the streaming service, I honestly just don't know how I feel about that. I would much rather have them be released in theaters, because I feel like Star Wars, if it's a movie about anything, it should be a celebration, whether it's once a year or even twice a year. There's something about going to the theaters that just feels so magical. Being around other Star Wars fans, hearing the people woo at the screen and clapping at the surprising pieces of the movie just really boosts up the entire excitement of the whole entire experience of the motion picture of whatever movie it is. So a great example was Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. When I was watching that in theaters, the crowd, the audience was going crazy when Darth Vader showed up. I want to experience moments like this when it comes to the standalone films, and it's such a shame that the Solo: A Star Wars Story box office results didn't do too well, and this is exactly why Disney and Lucasfilm are trying to make a course correct on how to avoid these issues once again in the future. Now, if you guys want my 2 cents on this, I feel like that not only, yes, The Last Jedi Backlash had an effect on the box office results, but it was also the Solo: A Star Wars Story boycott, but also, not everybody, I believe, was asking for a Han Solo movie. I think a better move would have been to, of course, have the Obi-Wan Kenobi Star Wars movie just after The Last Jedi. It would have been the perfect blend to have, Luke Skywalker coming back into The Last Jedi, in which a lot of fans had a lot of problems with that by director and writer Rian Johnson. But you would have had Luke, then Obi-Wan, and then Star Wars Episode 9, focusing both on Kylo Ren and Rey. I think that if Obi-Wan were to have released in 2018 of May, this year, I think that, people would have honestly had a really great time. Now, mind you, Solo: A Star Wars Story was a good movie, not a great movie in my point of view. I liked Rogue One more, I guess because I leaned towards the whole entire war aspect of the Star Wars movies more so than a heist aspect. But if they are to actually go on with this plan of only releasing the standalones on the streaming service, I just feel like that I would much rather see these movies in the movie theaters and see it with other Star Wars fans and just listen and see their reactions to those surprising and epic moments of the movies. So let me know how you guys feel about this if Disney does indeed decide to go with this plan of only releasing the standalone movies on the streaming service. Now, we do know that currently a lot of the standalone films have been put on hold. In fact, according to Grace Randolph, we've actually gone over this on her video, we actually covered this, is that they're only focusing right now on the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. That's the one standalone film that they're really keeping an eye on. And it makes sense because you have this character Obi-Wan, such an iconic character that not only appears in Star Wars Rebels, but he also appears in 6 Star Wars movies, the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. Now that's enough to work with, and that's enough to really have, a lot of people to go ahead and see Obi-Wan Kenobi in his own movie on the big screen. For a movie like Obi-Wan, I just really hope that it does get to have the opportunity to go on the big screen and give Ewan McGregor another chance to be, in the movie theaters once again. So, I'll say this. Whether we get that Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, in 2020 or whenever it's going to be, I'm not going to care exactly where I'm going to be able to see it, but I would much prefer to actually go ahead into the movie theaters and see it with other Star Wars fans. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about this and what you think about the possibility of Disney deciding to go with the plan of the standalone films only going to the streaming service and not in theaters and only focusing on the trilogy movies, etc. Let me know how you feel about that, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.